Shinobi, open your eyes. For the sake of your master.
Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello, and welcome back to Everything Possible in Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. Here we are in the Hirata Estates. It is on fire, and we have some exploring to do. From this vantage point, we can see the estates are on fire. We can see a fire burning in the distance, although it doesn't look like a building is on fire. Just in the surrounding village, we see a bridge, we see a lot of water, and we can see a shiny off in the distance. But before we head down there, we do want to activate that sculptor's idol, but of course, we want to pick up some more pellets that get sent straight to our storage. Let us activate the sculptor's idol. Now we can travel to and from the Hirata Estates at any point. Now this is the Dragon Spring Hirata Estate. I want you to keep in mind the Dragon Spring reference because we're going to hear that again here in just a moment. So down below we can see some grapple points. We just need to trust that we can grab onto it at the last moment. Otherwise you'll just take some fall damage. And then we have yet another Tengu of Athena. You can see the familiar claws on the feet and the bird dress. Over here we do have some fistfuls of ash. Let's talk to this Tengu.
You're the son of Owl.
What happened?
Thieves at Hirata Estate. You must hurry. The divine error.
What year is it?
What year? An odd question.
Tell me.
It's the year of the Dragon Spring pilgrimage.
The Dragon Spring pilgrimage? That was 3 years ago. What is this? The sculptor mentioned an old memory. I don't remember any of this, but it appears this is the past.
Once again, we are now 3 years in the past. We are standing outside of the Hirata Estates at the time of the Dragon Spring pilgrimage. Let's take a further look at our surroundings. So on this bridge, we do have a couple of guards. One is a new enemy to us, this torch-wielding enemy. A little bit more dangerous than those just with the katanas. We also have these fish, these carp or these goldfish that are swimming along in the river, and we can target them, indicating that we can also kill them, which we will want to do. Now we don't want to take on these enemies at once, but what I will do, once this guy gets just a little bit closer, typically the ones with the torches will attempt to call in backup. But if we're fast enough, which we weren't this time, there is the Whirlwind Slash. If you're quick enough, you can often actually take him out before he even notices you. Back here at the beginning of the bridge, we have Dowsing Powder, a medicine for treating burns. Heals the burn status abnormality and for a time decreases burn buildup, increases burn resistance, and reduces damage from incoming burn attacks. When fire is used on the battlefield, Dowsing Powder is crucial for survival. The effect will last for 30 seconds, but if you're on fire, Dowsing Powder is one of the few things that can remove that abnormality. Dropping down here behind this rock, we have a treasure carp scale, a sparkling scale from a treasure carp. To the average person, it is just a beautiful scale, but there are some who exalt a certain master who consider these scales among the most precious things in the world. For this reason, collecting them could be worthwhile. And in fact, we're going to meet one of those individuals who calls a certain individual master that will treasure these treasure carp scales. And this guy, we're just going to wait for him to come to us. We don't want to get anyone's attention yet. Really smart that they would try to kick some mud in your eyes. Fairly easily dispatched, and we're going to ignore the rest of the enemies over beyond the bridge. And now I want to take care of this carp. There is another treasure carp scale. We're going to swim along the outside here. There are some enemies along the shore, but what we're looking for are some more carp. Now some of them, not this one, there's another treasure carp scale. Some of them are underwater. You can see that we have one more along the surface. But if they're underwater, currently we cannot get them. There is a way to get them, but it can be really precise, and then there are some that can only be gotten once we have a certain skill that will allow us to swim underwater. Like this one right here, you can't even see it. This one is not going to be able to be killed in our current status. This one, however, will be. And we want to kill him for a very specific reason. Wait for him to start swimming towards us. And quickly, there we go. And there's another one. We'll talk to this individual here in just a moment. But over here, we have another light coin purse, and this is Pot Noble Harunaga. Pay attention to the hand that comes out, and then we'll talk a little bit about him afterwards.
Know about carp scales? The sparkling, shining scales of the treasure carp. Bring them to me, and I'll reward you handsomely.
So this is one of those individuals who revels a certain master, and we can trade treasure carp scales for unique inventory, including divine grass, a secret medicine that fully restores vitality and cures all status abnormalities. One small part of Athena is exceedingly old. The ancient soil, rocks, and water that pervaded the land are said to have attracted the attention of the gods. The Dr. Dogen studied the plants in this ancient place, resulting in the recipe for this special medicine. We'll have to talk a little bit about where this exceedingly old part of Athena is. Then we have the Withered Red Gourd. Throughout Sekiro, there are various gourds that we can get. Now, this does not heal our vitality. It is used only in certain circumstances. A curved withered red gourd filled with a medicinal water. The gourd's medicine refills upon rest. This is not consumed like pellets are. This is just like our healing gourd. It reduces burn buildup and slightly increases burn resistance. It cannot heal the burn status abnormality, however. So this would work really well with the dowsing powder. For 7 scales, we can get the mask fragment right. A fragment of an old dancer's mask. The original must have been broken into several pieces, and this fragment appears to be the right side of the mask. And then for 5 scales, we can get a new combat art, the floating passage. Unleash attacks in a flowing, dance-like form, overwhelming enemies in a furor of graceful aggression. This technique belongs to the Ashina Sword School, although it has been deemed heretical due to its foreign origin. We'll talk a lot more about the mask and the floating passage later on. For now, all I want to buy is the Withered Red Gourd.
I thank you for your kindness. Please, bring more scales soon.
Once again, that hand that came out, I want you to remember it for a future episode, a future area that we're going to get to. What's interesting is that this NPC, Pot Noble Harunaga, this is one of the only NPCs, in fact I believe it's the only NPC that Miyazaki himself had a hand in creating. He's always enjoyed putting his own flavor, his own touch into his games, and this apparently is his primary contribution.
If you have it, bring me some.
I was hoping to get some more dialogue, but not just yet. Right, so that's all we needed for now. We will come back once we can swim to get the rest of the carp. Even though there are some tricks to get them, honestly, I just don't think it's all that worth it. Now, let's take a look here. We have the dog. We also have the guard up by the tree. The dog we can take care of nice and easily. And then this guard. Dispatched just as easily. I like to lead with a shuriken. Once we get prosthetic skills unlocked, there are some really useful skills that work really, really nicely with the shuriken. And inside this boat, get another Mibu possession balloon. And coming up is going to be one of the best early game spots for farming, both in Sen and in items. We have one of the torch-wielding soldiers and a small pack of dogs. Fortunately, it's not going to let us grab onto this wall, but if we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to just jump right on top. We have a new sculptor's idol already. And then if we want to take care of them, we most certainly can, because we do have another enemy there as well. And we can do so quickly, simply by killing them with shurikens. And this guy still has no idea where we are. And we can can do a ledge drop down in order to get the kill on him. Over here in the water, there is an invisible wall, so it doesn't allow you to swim beyond it. And our last enemy in this area, before we get to the next Sculptor's Idol, very easy just to sneak up on. And there we have it. We have another skill point. Right now, we're not going to spend it. We are trying to save up for 2. That way we can get the Makita counter. There's a mini-boss coming up that is going to be very, very beneficial if we can have that before we face him. 2 more ceramic shards. Right at the corner of a wall, you know what the game wants us to do. That's exactly what we will do. Just get his attention. Especially now because there are some archers waiting in the back for us. Oh, and unfortunately missed that. That's okay. Let's just get out of sight. That guy is suspicious, but he doesn't know where we are just yet. Now we could climb over the wall to the right, but what I prefer to do, actually take this approach. This will give us the opportunity to drop down onto those enemies. So dropping down behind this wall, we have some spirit emblems. Down here at the end, we have some more Ungo sugar, 3 more, all sent to storage. And then with a double jump off this wall here, we can get good look here. So we have 1 archer directly below us. And then we have a couple of enemies right here. 1 archer, 1 katana user. So if we want to take out the katana user, very easy, just 2. Get the drop. And the archers go down very quickly. In fact, if you really want to, it only takes 3 shurikens to take them out. And just to show that you can do this, I can take an arrow right to the face. What I'm trying to do, is deflect it. The only thing is, since he is using burning arrows, you still do get some burning abnormality status built up, even though you're deflecting it. And we got some oil. So the oil, plain oil, when the jar breaks, the oil covers everything nearby. Enemies doused in oil are easily set alight, causing them to take additional vitality damage from fire attacks and making them more vulnerable to the burn status abnormality. The oil is an incredible item in conjunction with a prosthetic tool we'll be getting here shortly, especially against very particular enemies, especially those of the beast variety. Here we have some more fistfuls of ash, 3 more. This next section does have a number of enemies associated with it. There's a few ways that we can go about it though. If we take it on through that hole in the wall, we do have to be careful because everyone can see us. But if we just actually loop around here, get onto this wall, and now we have 1, 2, 3 enemies that we can see, but there are more. And if we simply walk around here and drop down, we're going to be as careful and quiet as we can. Try to get the entire state of things. You can actually see this guy poking through the wall. This would be a really good time for another Gaichin sugar. So my goal, hopefully get in and get out. No one is the wiser just yet. The enemies with the axes are probably, at least in my opinion, the most difficult to deal with. So if I can take care of them first, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable taking out the rest. There we are. Then we have this archer here. Easily dealt with. Once again, we can deflect those torches, but because it is on fire, we do take that fire buildup, even if we don't take any vitality damage. Something to keep in mind. Always remember to loot. Now behind here, we get some more Akko sugar. Great. Making sure that all the enemies in here are dead. And once you're familiar with the game, you'll know where all the items are, of course, but until then, feel free to break boxes because they do hide some in some pretty intriguing places. So there's 2 more pellets. And now, we have another area that is positively chock full of enemies. You can see one of the torch wielders there with a dog. you can see an archer right over there standing on the rooftop. There's another enemy directly behind him, and then around that fire, there's a multitude of enemies, and there are some more enemies hiding even behind these buildings. There is an eavesdrop that I'd like to get. So in order to get there, careful, I don't want anyone seeing me just yet. What I'm going to do is take care of this archer with 3 shurikens. Uh-oh. That's a lot of wasted spirit emblems. I was trying to kill that dog, as you can see. Now, at this point, we can just hop down, maybe get that guy to come at us. Doesn't seem like he wants to, though. And that's okay, because we don't want to get too close. There is an eavesdrop conversation that we can get if we can just be a little bit sneaky. So for now, we're just going to go behind the buildings. And as long as we're quiet, which we're not because we just walked into some bamboo. Not sure where that other enemy just went. He's looking for us, though. He apparently just saw us. There's a thrust attack, perilous attack. You can deflect those. And once we have the Makita counter, that's where that move really shines. A couple more ceramic shards, 1 added to inventory, 1 added to storage rather, and 2 added to our inventory. There's some spirit emblems inside the buildings. We'll get those soon enough, but for now, see if we can't get high enough here so no one sees us.
Look at it burn. Whoever called this a fire-breathing barrel wasn't kidding. I can feel my spirits lifting already.
You ain't wrong. This estate always rubbed me the wrong way. But you gotta give it a good send-off at least.
So they're talking about this flaming barrel, and you can actually see if you watch very closely that there's some moths flying around a light in the middle of that fire. Now, most of these enemies are drunk, which means they're not going to be too difficult to take out, but not all of them. In fact, some of them can prove to be a little bit challenging. We also have another enemy who's just kind of looking out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking out this enemy and then backing up, although we do have another dog. I'm not sure where the dog went. Let's see if we can't find him. That dog seems to be patrolling somewhere that I don't see. I hear him. Sounds like he's snarling. Well, we're going to have to deal with him as he comes to us. We can always just throw a shuriken when the need arises. And let's run. Let's just back up. Oh, looks like the dog might be right behind this building. Sure enough. And I am going to use... I was going to try and use some Whirlwind Slash against these enemies. But if they're not going to group up, it's not really worth it. You know what? He wants to use some Fistfuls of Ash. I think we might equip those and start using them against these enemies. There is our 2 skill points that we needed. Unfortunately, a lot of slain vassals hiding within these huts. Didn't really stand a chance when the thieves set this place alight. And you can see this poor sap just standing around the bonfire drunk and absolutely none the wiser. So let's collect all this loot once we apparently deal with this final dog. So we have a dowsing powder. We have another fistful of ash. I'm ignoring the bonfire on purpose. Another Mibu Balloon of Wealth. By the way, these enemies can all drop those Mibu Balloons, so it's a great place to farm for Sen and for the items to collect more Sen. There is a pellet, and then in the fire, we get the Flame Barrel, an iron barrel that spews fire. can be fitted to the Shinobi prosthetic to become another prosthetic tool. It is difficult to control the rage-filled red eyes with the power of man alone. Remember the red eyes that this is describing. However, a fire-based weapon could be a means of resisting them. They are said to fear fire above all else. We will have to bring that back to the sculptor in order to get our brand new Shinobi tool. Making sure that everything is dead. Definitely appears so. And have I collected all my loot? Yes, I have. We have another Shinobi tool that we're going to be collecting here in a moment. You know what? While we have this guy here all by himself, let's play with the fishful of ash a little bit. There it is. And there's the death blow. An incredibly useful consumable, the fistfuls of ash, or pocket sand again, as the community likes to call it. Let's talk to this wounded NPC right before he passes.
Those worthless bastards. Hello. You are Shinobi, if I'm not mistaken. Take the Shinobi Axe from the temple and split their skulls wide open. Please.
We just learned about the Shinobi Axe. We are extremely close to its location. Now we have a couple enemies over there guarding a particular door. They're actually trying to get in before we approach them. We can come all the way down here, grab some Goken sugar, which I just skipped right through because I thought we'd pick some up. But that is actually the first time we picked it up. Sugar candy made by Shinobi hunters of Misen Temple, sustaining Goken's blessing. It reduces posture damage taken for a time. Bite the candy and take the Goken stance to impart its inhuman benediction. Misen monks are well versed in the art of killing shinobi, an undertaking that demands a body with an unshakable core. So for 30 seconds, once you've consumed Goken sugar, you will take less posture damage from any enemy damage taken. Notice though that it's talking about shinobi hunters of the Misen Temple, because we are going to face a shinobi hunter, and that is the enemy I was referring to when I was talking about the Makiri counter and how important it's going to be very, very soon. Here is a nice shortcut right back to the start of the estate. Then we have two side sections off to the left, and then another couple off to the right. In here, we have a number of the roosters. We can deal with them as best as we can. Definitely take out at least one of them with a drop attack. And this one with the stealth blow if we can. We cannot, that's alright. There are two more waiting for us in the building, and then one more directly outside. Over here we have another pellet. As we get on the roof here, in fact, we can kind of skirt around the back a little bit. Don't forget to come up here where this nest is to grab a light coin purse. And for me, I think it's completely worth it to get the drop attack on this one, and then to waste a few shurikens on killing these. At least on one of them. Somehow got some damage off as he was dying. But there we go, the roosters are dead, and inside we just have 3 more Ungo sugar. Then directly opposite, we can get an eavesdrop.
We burning this temple next, boss?
No, leave it. Go on to the next one.
But if there's any offerings, we could give them to Lord Juzo.
Enough! We don't take from Buddha. How many times do I have to tell you before it sinks into your thick skull?
Please, don't get angry at me, boss. I'm sorry my skull's so thick.
So this appears to be a Buddhist temple, and we heard about another prosthetic tool, the Shinobi Axe, hiding nearby. We also had a name drop of Lord Juzo, another mini-boss that we're going to encounter here in the Hirata estate. Now these enemies are not alone in this section, and before we take them on, ideally I'd like to take on the other torch wielder, but it appears he is not anywhere nearby. So I'm going to prioritize the axe wielder. Blind him. Take him out. And once this guy gets closer, we can blind him as well. Oh, just tried to blind each other. Collecting all of our loot inside this building. We have another light coin purse. Circling around really quickly. Nothing hiding around this way, but inside this temple, we get the Shinobi Axe of the Monkey, a heavy black iron axe used by shinobi. Can be fitted to become another prosthetic tool. This boorish axe is used less for cutting and more for breaking things with its weight. Once the favored weapon of a shinobi known as the Bounding Monkey of the Sunken Valley, it was lost, along with his left arm. Some of that should sound a little familiar. Perhaps we know of an old shinobi who lost his left arm in battle? Someone who perhaps is hairy, a bit like a monkey? Let that sink in for a little while. Now these enemies also have another eavesdrop. So let us very carefully go and take care of them. And then we'll explore this area immediately to my left. And I'm purposely not pointing the camera there, so it can be a bit of a surprise.
Hey, open up! Open up or else I can hear you whispering in there. If you don't surrender peaceably now, you're gonna regret it later. Hey, can you hear me? Hey!
Notice that the eavesdrop now has a check mark above it. Once you listen to an eavesdrop, it gives you that check mark to let you know that you've already done so. This does become important later on, where the eavesdrops you get can determine the outcomes of certain quests. Once again, prioritizing the axe holder. Oh, my ash hit the wall. Collecting all the loot. There is a torch wielder going up the stairs, but we're going to ignore him for now. And then in here, we have no enemies, just a few villagers hiding in their houses that we can listen to.
Please, try not to move. It'll make your wounds worse.
No, I must go. There is a shinobi hunter among the bandits. He's highly skilled. If I don't face him,
I forbid it. You are in no condition.
A shinobi hunter. That's the second time we've heard that term.
You're the young master's shinobi.
Yes.
What good are you? You were nowhere to be seen when things went south. Wait, tell me you didn't lead them here yourself. The timing of their attack was perfect. Normally those bandits wouldn't have stood a chance. Yes, it had to be you. I hope you die, traitor.
Here we have a villager who doesn't even trust us, a shinobi that apparently this town knows very well, thinking that we led the other shinobi away so that the thieves could run amok without any resistance. One last NPC to talk to.
Who are you?
I'm not a thief.
You're the young lord's... Oh, thank goodness. Honorable shinobi, those filthy bandits are after the young lord. They've already climbed the hill and set the estate on fire. It looked as if the young lord had no way to escape.
I beg of you, Shinobi. Please rescue the young lord.
I entrust this to you.
And here we have our first antidote powder, although we could have bought some previously. A powerful antidote concocted by the Sunken Valley clan. It heals the status abnormality poison and temporarily increases poison resistance, again 30 seconds, much like the dowsing powder. Magnetite deposits are found in the Sunken Valley, but the place is dangerously toxic. Antidote powder is essential for anyone attempting
I pray it is
to mine the ore.
Thank you.
And that is going to do it for this section. No more loot to be had, no more enemies that we're going to worry about. We're going to disregard those for now. But in here, we do have another NPC. An NPC who has an eye patch and who's wearing a cloak of patches. A cloak of patches.
Hey, good sir. Are you a looter too? Good sir, you look like a shinobi, I think. Are you looking for something? Well, in any case, I found this place first. So, keep your eyes peeled out there, huh? And, don't let the door hit you on the... Oh, by the way, while I was on my way here, I saw a 3-story pagoda on top of some cliff. It was a fine pagoda. Really fine. I bet there's some kind of treasure kept in there. Gotta be. That's what I think, at least.
So this is the individual that we saw earlier in the Ashina outskirts, although we didn't talk to him. I held off because I wanted to come to the Hirata estates and meet him and collect a certain item before we talked to him back in the outskirts. He also just mentioned a 3-story pagoda. Now, if you've been to the pagoda, Sekiro will actually tell him that he's already seen it. But for now, we'll just have to keep in mind that a pagoda like that exists, and we're going to want to explore it, although very, very carefully. Hiding behind here in the clearing, we have another bundled Jizo statue to restore 1 resurrected node. And that is actually as far as we're going to go in the Hirata estates just now. Before we continue on, we do want to accomplish a couple of things. One, we want to get our new prosthetic tools equipped, and we want to purchase our new skill, the Mikiri counter. Let's go ahead, head back to the dilapidated temple.
So, you're back.
Was that a dream? Or was it real?
Whether it was a dream or it was reality, I have no idea. There is one thing I can tell you. The great Buddha has seen fit to awaken old memories within you. What you felt, what you remembered, that is what it all depends upon.
I'm not sure if what I saw is what truly happened.
That's how it works.
2 more prosthetic tools, the flame vent and the loaded axe. It is difficult to control the rage of those with red eyes through the power of man alone. They do, however, fear the flame above all else. This tool has the power to make them tremble. And then we also have the loaded axe. One strike can easily turn a wooden shield into splinters or shred an enemy's posture.
The Shinobi Prosthetic. Appears you've taken to it quite well. Here, this is for you.
Once we have fitted 3 prosthetic tools, any 3 prosthetic tools, we get the Prosthetic Esoteric text, a book of secrets that details a variety of techniques for use with Shinobi Prosthetic, grants the ability to learn prosthetic style skills. Written by a man who abandoned the path of the Shinobi, but could not bring himself to discard his painstaking research. He never expected to pass these on to anyone else.
What is it?
It contains ways to bite into your foes with that fang of yours. In other words, fighting techniques for your prosthetic arm.
I see.
I had thought that prosthetic techniques wouldn't ever be needed again, but it seems I was wrong.
Now we have the ability to purchase skills that will complement our prosthetic tools, a few of which are incredibly important.
Another time, then. I'll lend you shelter anytime.
Once we have more than one equipped, we can cycle through our prosthetic tools with the Y or the triangle button. You can see loaded shuriken. I only have the one right now, but let's get the loaded axe, and let's go ahead and get the firecracker as well. And now you can see we can just quickly switch between them. And lastly, before we wrap up, since we have the 2 skill points, first off, here's the prosthetic arts, Chasing Slice, one of my favorites, a skill that greatly reduces the distance between you and your foe once you've used a few different types of tools. You can see that it applies to only certain tools. The grappling hook attack, a very important skill, and we will be picking this up before a certain boss fight coming up. But for now, Mikiri counter is what we're looking for. We now also have access to a few different latent skills. Latent skills are passive skills. These apply at all times. This would increase the number of spirit emblems we can carry by 1. We also have mid-air deflection. We'll talk more about that at a later time. We also have run and slide and suppress presence, another latent skill. Very, very good skills. But the Mikiri counter is something that we don't have to equip. It is just something that we can do at any time. And before I call it an episode, I do want to show it off using Hanbei.
Oh, it's you. You may use me to hone your swordsmanship, if you like.
And we would like.
In that case, I stand as your opponent.
The Mikiri counter. A shinobi can perceive incoming thrust attacks and counter them by stepping on the enemy blade. We want to perform 3 death blows on Hanbei, and this is done by using the dodge button towards the opponent once you see that kanji symbol, and once they're about to hit you with a thrust. You don't want to do it right away. There is a bit of a delay. If you do it too early, they still will get that thrust off. But there we go. The next mini-boss that we face is going to be doing a lot of thrust attacks. And the Makiri counter is going to save our bacon.
Come back whenever you like. If you have techniques to try out, I'm at your disposal.
So next time we will be heading back to the Hirata estates. We'll be pushing forward. We won't be completing the entire estate for now, but we do have a lot more to explore. We have another prosthetic tool to get, and we have another mini-boss awaiting for us. But that is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I hope you're still enjoying, and I hope you learned something. And if you did, leave me a comment below and let me know what you learned, and if I missed something, or if you have your own tips and tricks or lore theories to share, put that down there as well so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.